Welcome to the YouTube channel of Functional Safety First. The topic for today's video is configuration data as described in ISO26262 Part 6 Annex C. In this video, we will help you understand the following aspects. What is configuration data? Why are they important in the functional safety world? Where should we describe them? And how should we verify them? Configuration data refers to those parameters that are assigned during the software build and compile process. They create different binaries depending on the value of the configuration data. Note here that data is not to be interpreted in the same way as you would interpret a variable holding a data. Rather, the data here refers to constructs in the code such as hash pragma statements, hash if statements, and parameters that are used when calling a build script. Clearly, these are not executed or interpreted while the software is running. Some examples include configurations in AutoSort software or preprocessor settings that influence the availability of a safety functionality. Static configurations such as hash defines, for example, a hash define to set the number of used ADC channels in an ADC driver, does not need to be considered in the scope of configuration data because these configurations will be verified as per the regular review and test methods and they do not need any special strategy. In this slide, we will introduce you to two new terms, configurable software and configured software. Configurable software can be interpreted as a superset software that contains all the configuration data of which only a selected set is used for the build and compile process. The configured software is like a subset software that contains the functionality that was selected by the configuration data. Configuration parameters have been an inevitable part of automotive software for several decades now. It has been the way vendors could manage the OEM needs to have different variants of functionality for different vehicles, brands, and regions. So why do we care for this suddenly? The answer is, from a functional safety point of view, only configuration data that can influence safety functionality needs to have a clearly articulated strategy. The configurations that do not interact or influence safety requirements do not matter, though of course there is no harm in extending the same strategy to those as well. Where should we describe these configuration data? As per the standard, a configuration data spec must be developed that clearly defines the valid values of the configuration data, the purpose of the data, and the interdependencies or the compatibility between different data. However, as a work product, this can either be a standalone work product called a configuration data specification, or this could be covered as part of the software architecture document and detailed design specifications. How should we verify configuration data? There are broadly two important methods for verifying configuration data: review and testing. Review must ensure that the value of each configuration data is in the range of valid values defined in the architecture document. It must also verify that in case of dependencies between configuration data, only allowed combinations are used. Also, change management practices must be put in place to ensure that unintended changes to parameters will be prevented. In case of translation of a configuration data to a meaningful usage in software, review the translation and verify that the tool performing the translation is tool qualified. Lastly, the final binary or the configured software must be tested to ensure that the functionality works as intended by the configuration value. For example, if a configuration enables the memory protection unit, then the final binary must be tested to ensure that the MPU is indeed enabled and functioning as expected. Of course, the correct functioning does not depend not only on the configuration data, but it also depends on the implementation and related configuration data as well. That's it for this video. If you have any questions on this topic, please feel free to reach us at autofunctionalsafety@gmail.com or leave a comment below. Thank you.